Good evening. Once again, it is my pleasure to be with you. This is Kathumi. With love and healing and presence for you this evening. And a great joy within my heart to be in your company, doing what I love to do most, sharing of myself. So I hope you are all ready this evening to escape to reality. There are many who would say you are escaping from reality. And this is not so. And we will enhance your process this evening, and hopefully we can do some excellent work together to assist you in escaping to reality more directly, more easily, and more deeply than ever before. So relax yourselves and enjoy, as I enjoy being with you. Tonight I would like to share my presence of love with you. And while we are sharing in this way, I would like to address some issues regarding communication, or the channeling process, or receptivity to messages and guidance. Within this general area, this does not mean that you need to be having a strong desire within yourself to channel or to become a channel in order to benefit from this evening. You need only to have a strong desire within you to know what the heck is going on here. I think you all qualify for that, or else you would not be coming to these gatherings. So, as a general background, I would say that this phenomenon of communication with ascended beings, ascended masters, and guides is something that is very critical and crucial to each of you and to all those who are of the light on this planet at this time. And you might say that the New Age phenomenon, or the infusion of new energies which have been blasting forth upon and through this planet and through the beings of this planet of the last years, have served many functions, much opening, much of love, and much of release especially has been brought forth, much of healing. And one of the byproducts of this energy infusion is the activation within each of the light workers of portions of the brain which have not been used prior to this time, or which have been somewhat sleepy. Your more psychic faculties, your more clairvoyant or clairaudient capacities, your telepathic abilities, these are being enhanced. In fact, they are being nurtured and opened as a result of this energy which is coming through, and as a result of the work that you are doing in your meditations and in your visitations by guides and masters. There's one on the roof right now. I think it is the master squirrel. And so you may say that just as the squirrel is scratching at the rooftops, we are scratching on your rooftops. We are seeking to get your attention in many ways and seeking to facilitate your ability to receive our messages, to receive our guidance and our help. It is not necessary for you to have a desire, as I said, to become a channel. There are many types of channeling. You will be all channeling one way or the other. You already are in many ways. Channeling is simply opening to your higher self and allowing the elements of spirit to flow through you unhindered, uncensored, and you might say it is inspired activity. Inspired activity of any kind is channeled through your higher self. But tonight we will be a little more specific with regards to this, and we will stick more within the realms of communication, verbal communication, messages, this sort of thing. So you might say there are chemical reactions occurring within your brain, and there are reactions of openings in your etheric body, in your various light bodies, etc., that are being activated by this New Age energy. Your chakras are being more and more opened and balanced. We have done a great deal of work, you have, with your other masters and guides here, and in your meditations. I believe there was some discussion previously of the 8th and 9th chakras, those which are in the etheric substance over your head. Now, these are involved somewhat in your communications also, and your guides will activate them and have been activating them. So there is much of transformation that goes into this ability to receive messages and communications. There are physical transformations. There is a clearing of the emotional body. There is an element of trust and faith that is generated within you as you have practical experience of your guidance and its beauty and its love towards you. You are able more and more to have an experience of faith and trust, for this is necessary. You are opening to more openness and more of a surrender, I would say, towards your aspect of receiving. More and more you are asking for to receive whatever is within highest wisdom for yourself and for your development, for the love and healing of this planet and its inhabitants, whatever is highest wisdom in fulfilling your mission. You see, you have come a long way towards surrendering to wanting to know who you are and what you are really here for. So this is an aspect which enhances your communications also. It is a process that is, to you, maybe a long and slow process, perhaps not, but generally there is some time involved within the time that you perhaps encounter another being who has access to telepathic communications or read about it, and the time that you are actively experiencing it practically in a way that is providing you with direct access and guidance. So you are all at various levels or various steps upon this path. Some are already channeling quite beautifully. Some are desiring to know what is going on and to receive messages from Spirit, from their ascended guides. So while I am speaking to you this evening, doing my best to describe these phenomenon in language, I am going to be working with your receptors, you might say. Myself along with your other guides who are here. So it is important for you to know within yourself, and generally in your life, whether it is you desire to have this active communication, to be clear about it. It is awakening within you regardless, but if you will state to yourselves that I do have a strong desire to open to receive guidance and messages, if you will affirm this, then you will be giving us the signal to go ahead with a little bit more directness, a little bit more power in our breakthroughs to you. For there is great power available to you, great clarity. Sometimes it is simply a matter of asking for what you want. And before you can ask, you must know what you want. So this is not the time any longer in this world for those of you who are of the spirit of the light to be seeking externally for teachings or teachers to give yourself to surrender to. It is more time for you to become your own lightning rods for spirit, to be able to be fully functionally independent, fully liberated. It is always beneficial to seek guidance and to sit with others who have something to share with you. But ultimately the purpose for doing so is to provide yourself with energetic assistance towards manifesting these abilities in your own life. So that you can, wherever you are upon the face of this planet at any time that you feel the need, receive communications and direction, receive a nurturing presence and the experience of love and that sustenance that you need so badly. There is so much difficulty, so much release occurring, so much of intensity. Many times the waves of the light create such intensity that it becomes rather cloudy and rather chaotic. Communications are disturbed, and at that time it is often even more difficult to receive or to connect. We understand this, and we are working to make you so strong that you are not affected by this. So let me say that telepathy, or a channeling, is something that is built into your human being. And as you become more human, as you activate those portions of your brain and your mind and your psyche, which have these capacities, which have been a little bit clogged up, you will reawaken to this more and more, and it will become second nature to you to have conversations with invisible friends. I would suggest you do this in the privacy of your own home and not on the bus, unless you are not prone to embarrassment. But this guidance, which in the beginning to you is something more of curiosity or interest, becomes more and more for you as you proceed along your own unique path of development, something which is more and more vital, and something which must become that which you can rely upon. For the times that we are in and the times ahead are very critical times, and it is important that you have the sensitivity or the intuition or the ability to receive guidance in whatever way you receive it, to assist you so that you can be in the right places at the right times. You can know when it is appropriate to focus into meditation, perhaps, or when to turn left rather than right in your life, when to surrender certain ideas and plans and open to something new, or when to continue with your own inspirations. So much of this, so much we can feed to you, so much we can assist you. And if it is your desire to have this communication, to have this communion with the Christ and the other masters, we will, by all means, accelerate your process towards this. If you are already channeling, if you are already receiving messages or your guidance, there is much we can do to open your channel further. There is much we can do to clarify even that which you are already receiving. So fundamentally, your part in activating this is much less than our own. Your part is simply your openness to spirit and your willingness to meditate, to affirm, and to connect with your guides. And you might say that you can leave the rest to us. Again, ask for what you desire. If you desire to have contact with your spiritual masters in a real way, in a verbal way, ask for this. Then it is a matter of patience and trust on your part and the beginning of experimentation with these messages. There is a period wherein you will receive more intuitional messages, more verbal messages, in very subtle ways at first to you, for these messages come to you as subtle communications, a little bit more subtle than your thoughts. They come to you with presence. They do not come simply as a thought, but it may feel as it is a thought, and yet there is perhaps an identification with a particular master, or the vibration of a particular master, or the master will introduce himself to you and say, hello, this is Jesus, and I would like to make a suggestion or speak with you briefly, this sort of thing. And your number one criterion for receiving clear messages is an ability to have the sensitivity within yourself to be able to experience the presence of those beings who are communicating with you. This is where meditation comes in, and openness and love. This is where your openness and your meditation are vital. And this is what gives you the discrimination to know the difference between a thought from your ordinary mundane consciousness and a thought which comes to you from higher sources. Sometimes it is a very fine line. Sometimes these messages are your own intuition that you have known all your life. I think there are innumerable ways that we can connect with you, innumerable ways that we have in the past used throughout your lives, which are still functional. You still have feeling bodies, and you still have your good old intuition. You have the feeling in your gut at times of what is appropriate or what to do or what not to do. All these are ways that we have used and will continue to use. We will do whatever is required, you see. What I am speaking of tonight is more of a fine-tuning and a way to receive more specific guidance, you might say. A way to receive not only perhaps a gut feeling, but perhaps a beautiful discourse on some specific topic which is beneficial for your growth in any particular moment. And you see, we can refine this capability quite a bit. And all of you will be, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I have absolutely no doubt, all of you will be, within a relatively short time, fully functioning as receivers and transmitters of messages and information and experience of the Masters to you and to the earth, and of you and your earth experience to the masters. For as this energy grows, as this energy that has been infusing your life space continues and grows, you release that which has obstructed you. You release that of emotion that has clouded you. And this energy is feeding the reactions within your spiritual body and your physical body and opening you. As you knew, and as you do know, at the core of your being, that this would happen at this time. And this is something to take note of on your part, something to be prepared for. Perhaps at this time you have no strong desire to receive channeled messages. You are enjoying your process of growth. And for you it is a matter to file these words away and to be prepared somewhat for when you do begin to receive messages, so that you will know how to proceed, how to enjoy. For ultimately, the messages are all coming to you on a frequency of love. And joy and peace. And those of you who have felt at times somewhat abandoned in this world, somewhat alien to the goings-on of the third-dimensional reality, will be able more and more to take sustenance, to take nurturance, and to have this communion with your brothers and sisters who are not particularly present at this time in the third-dimensional plane. You have many members of your families, many members of your brotherhood that are willing to communicate with you and in fact waiting to do so and to communicate with you face to face upon your lifting. But in the meantime, while you are waiting for this event, they are offering their service, as I do, as all do, to assist you through this period of transition as gently and gracefully as possible, so that you need not feel alone, so that you need not feel lost or confused. There is so much for you, so much guidance. So what do you do once you begin to receive these messages? You might say that at first it may seem a little difficult to believe. At first you will have difficulty discriminating. And at times, even after you have been practicing your channeling or your receiving and transmitting for a time, even there will be times when there is more static in the air within the emotional body or the aura of the earth, perhaps. Much is occurring and much release, and this tends to make communications a little bit more difficult. Just as a sunspot activity may make your radio receptivity a little bit less or interrupted. That is all the more reason for you to strengthen your contact and your trust. You are never alone, even though you may feel it at times. So what you need to do is to learn to access these messages, learn to fine-tune your consciousness sufficiently, learn to meditate, to be peaceful enough so that these transmissions can come through uninterrupted by your own judgments, criticisms, your own personalities and thoughts. So I would begin to practice this. I would begin more and more to, in your meditations, if you have not already, most of you probably have, in your meditations ask for a little bit of your meditation time to go towards communication. And call upon that which is your most closest guide, your closest companion, the one that you feel closest to communicate with you. And experiment and listen. And in listening to these messages, however simple they may be at first, take them to your heart, feel them, give them the acid test, that is, the test of whether or not they feel loving or whether or not they feel that they are true for you. Put them into practice in your life. Make some experimental efforts to do so. This is how it begins. And as you learn that you can trust your messages can become more specific. They can become more of a guidance that will inevitably perhaps even alter the course of your life. But at first you are not ready for this depth of communication, for you have to cultivate that trust, that ability to believe in what you are feeling and hearing. So there is a time of practice and patience. When you connect with guides, it is very important for you in your meditations and in your channeling endeavors, your communication endeavors, to always put around yourself the light protection. Call upon Archangel Michael or your other teachers and guides to surround you with light and protection. This light will do a great deal to inhibit you from receiving messages from other beings who are not those of the highest caliber, the highest order. There are many beings on the astral planes of the fourth dimension which would long to speak to you. But if you are giving yourself to your spiritual practice and putting light around yourself, I say it is very, very rare that one of these beings will even be able to penetrate. You might say that when you call upon a being to connect with you and to surround you with light and presence and to contact you, it is as if a cone of light or a pillar of light comes down to surround you from that being. And this insulates you for the communication and the communion that you are to experience. And within this protective pillar of light there is little possibility of being influenced by anything other than that particular being or other ascended masters. So this is important for you. Not to put fear into your hearts regarding your communications, but simply to have discrimination and to know that it is possible to receive messages from beings that are perhaps saying to you that they are me. They are not. So use your discrimination and your discretion with regards to this. Ultimately, your ability to channel or to receive messages is enhanced most and primarily by your ability to connect with your own higher self, your own I am presence, in meditation, by affirmation, by prayer. For it is the channel of your higher self that all ascended beings must use to communicate with you. So we are always willing, and when you call, we are always present. But your ability to receive our presence in a practical way, in a way that feels clear to you, is based upon your ability to be in alignment with your higher self. And this is accomplished again through your meditation practice. So you might say that channeling is a combined effort between the higher self of the channel and the presence of the Master. This is why there may be 5 of us in this room channeling the same being, and it will sound somewhat different through each one, because there is a coloration, or there is a different attitude or a flavor, let me say, of each being coming through the higher self and the filters of each channel. So if you, in your endeavors to experience communication, you perhaps would sit and do a channeling and channel the same being that you have heard another channel, if it does not sound quite the same, this is not an indication that you have got the wrong channel. This is not an indication that you have done something wrong. It is the way that being comes through you. And the beings that are coming through, the Ascended Masters, myself and the Christ and all of us, will use you as individuals, will use your particular talents, your particular openness, the ways that you express the most openness that you have, and we will use you to whatever degree we can, with your consent, of course, to do the work that needs to be done. So you must have a great deal of acceptance, you see. You must have acceptance for your particular manifestation of the channeling, your particular manifestation of the communication. You must surrender your self-criticism, your self-doubts. You must put those on the back burner while keeping your discrimination intact. It is somewhat of a juggling act. So that you do not interrupt that which is longing to come through you. I say to you, it is much more likely that you will receive a message and not believe that it is truly coming from an ascended plane, than you would receive a message not from an ascended plane and believe that it is. You see, most of the time you are much more clear and much more receptive than you give yourselves credit for. So why are we mentioning all of this, and why are we encouraging so many to open to this type of communication? You may be asking yourselves, why can't I simply sit and meditate and go into that inner peace? Well, of course you can. This is what we recommend, but what are you going to do when you sit and meditate and go into that inner peace and you receive a message of some sort? You must have a certain way of coping with this, and this is something that is necessary for us to bring to your attention now, for those times ahead when you may need to act upon these messages for your own enhancement, for your own even protection at times. Most likely for your own mission of service. So you could say that one of the reasons why it is so important that you open to this communication and communion is because each of you came into this life with specific missions to perform, specific ways you desire to open and to express spirit and to assist in the transformation that is now occurring. None of you are innocent bystanders. None of you are simply sitting in the bleachers watching the game and being affected by the results of the scoreboard. Each of you are affecting the results of the scoreboard. Your consciousness in every moment of your lives is having a dramatic effect on the energy of this planet and the beings that are here upon a dwelling. And you came here with your specific missions and your non-specific missions, knowing that you would awaken at a specific time. The time is now. And once you begin to awake, you find within you this longing that is quite profound. And the longing is, now that I am awakening, what am I going to do? How to act? What to pursue? How can I help? How can I help myself to grow? How can I make sure that I am in the right place at the right time, in the right consciousness to appreciate the ascension? And how can I assist in the upliftment of my brothers and sisters? What service is for me to perform? So within this realm of fulfilling your missions, it is very important to have this guidance available to you, for there is much of doubt and confusion that is being cast within the aura and the energetic field of this world that will cause you to question yourselves and doubt, and you will need, as you have needed and as you will continue to, much reassurance, much clarity, and we understand this and we are going to provide it to you as best we can in ways that you cannot deny. So you see, there is a link here between your ability to channel or to receive and transmit messages and your ability to perform your service or your mission on this world. And the time is indeed getting close, running out, you might say. So we are stepping up to the process with each being that is open. And it is remarkable now how many channels are coming out of the woodwork. It is remarkable how many of the beings of the Ascension classes began channeling or continued with greater enhancement of their channeling, because the work that we do automatically enhances this process, you see, connecting you with your light bodies in a way that will facilitate evacuation or ascension, has the byproduct of opening you to receive. And as this progresses, this new age progresses, within the next very short few years, if you are still upon this planet, if the first wave has not occurred yet, if you are still walking the face of the earth, there will come a time very soon when you will have the veils of your consciousness fall away most completely, to where you will have direct access, direct communication, and direct awareness of your true place and your true function, and of the presence of the Ashtar Command and of the Ascended Brotherhood surrounding the earth and working their miracles. It will not be long before all of this static is, for you, a thing of the past, and before your true functions and talents come to the surface. They are already doing so in ways that at times it is quite difficult to deny, and it puts you through many processes and sometimes may alter your belief systems about yourselves and even alter your path in your lives. This is all part of the process, and I suggest to enjoy and surrender to it. But channeling is not something that is only for a few select psychic beings with special gifts. It is for all. All of you in this room can channel, can receive and transmit telepathically. Regardless of whether you ever do it for a group or for another, it is something that you can do for yourself, and you will do for yourself. And it is a great deal of enjoyment for you and pleasure. You might say it is an entirely new aspect of life that they never told you about in school. They never told you you would be able to have telepathic communications with extraterrestrial ascended beings, now did they? Takes the boredom out of learning, doesn't it? So above all, know that this is for you, and there is nothing strange or weird about it. In fact, where you are headed, you will look back into your earth life and say how strange and weird it was to be so cut off from my abilities, to not be able to communicate in this way. So where you are headed is, as I said, an escape to reality, from unreality, and from illusion, from limitation. So more of the veils are falling and more of the limitations are falling. And we are here, we give you these play-by-play accounts of what is occurring so that you will be able to feel better about it and surrender more and enjoy more. So perhaps I should speak a little bit about specific masters, and maybe you can receive some assistance in this way with your own guidance. Each of you, of course, has various ascended beings who are working with you, working overtime. All of us who come through in these classes are availing and offering ourselves to you. And as well, you have your other guides. Perhaps you have not heard from them yet. Maybe you will in the future. But each of us ascended beings, each of the masters who comes through, we have a particular presence to us, you might say. A particular feeling, a vibration, a particular persona. And it is important for you to learn to discriminate between those of your teachers and guides who are coming through to you. It is not necessary for you to go through every ascended master and call upon them and ask them what their presence feels like. Though if you desire to, you could. You could create quite a library of experience. And it is remarkable how many of these different feelings or presences you can store within your memory, so that when you feel it in the future, you will say, oh, that's that old Kathumi guy. I remember him from about a year ago. We make an impression upon you when we enter your auras and enter your presence. But what is important is that you learn to discriminate between your teachers, so that when you call upon Jesus the Christ to be with you, you can receive his presence, and receiving his presence, be accustomed and familiar to it, so that you can, when you receive the messages that may come through, trust them and feel confident that you can act upon them and surrender to them. I am not speaking about surrendering your will. We will never toy or play with your free will. We will give you choices. So I may say that you may have the opportunity to surrender to a different choice than you may have been planning, but your surrendering to that will be an acknowledgement that it is your heart's desire or highest wisdom for you. So again, become familiar with your guides in your meditations. Spend a little bit of your meditation time. Say, if you are sitting to meditate for an hour,